What's up guys, Sean here, and today we're going to talk about Cenk nephew actually winning a debate. He wasn't correct about anything, and that's what I'm going to talk about, but he did win the debate because his opponent was completely unprepared. So a little inside baseball to start you guys off. I get sent a lot of videos, mostly clips about Cenk's nephew. A lot of the times the videos are just him freaking out over something, and people send me these videos in the hopes that I will make a reaction or response video to them. Unfortunately, that's not really what I do on this channel, and a 15-second or 2-minute clip of him spazzing out on his audience isn't really worth my time to go over and actually construct a video about, because there's nothing really to refute, dispute, or debunk in a freakout. That being said, I have never once discouraged people from sending me videos because I don't keep track of what this guy is doing, and you guys informing me is the only way I'll know what's going on and whether or not there is something worthy of me making a response to. And that's exactly how I came across a debate between Cenk nephew and a YouTuber called Sinatra Says.
So this is what sparked my interest in debating this person. I don't know who this person is. He's like some right-wing dude on the internet.
Full disclosure, I don't know a lot about Sinatra Says. I did watch the video he made about Cenk's nephew in the lead up to this debate between him and Cenk's nephew, so I could have the full context before making this video. But other than that, I don't really have a good feel for him. So this video is not really going to be about him. It's going to be about Cenk's nephew and the things that he said during the debate that were completely false, and how Sinatra Says should have responded to the lies that Cenk's nephew was presenting.
I haven't really debated anyone in a long time except for that one guy.
Whole civilizations once trembled at the sound of my name.
And yeah, welcome, actual justice warrior.
Overall, this debate was not that much fun to watch. The first 45 minutes of the conversation was on the PewDiePie shouting out a questionable YouTuber, and while in certain circumstances that could be an interesting topic, it's definitely not an interesting topic when two people are trying to prove opposite points against one another. Sinatra Says clearly was not defending the YouTuber in question, he was defending PewDiePie, but Cenk's nephew was more interested in the YouTuber that PewDiePie shouted out than PewDiePie himself. Of course, I will link the full debate with full context in the description box below from both the channels in question, but trust me, watching two people argue different points for 45 minutes while Cenk's nephew refuses to acknowledge that they're arguing different points the entire time, not fun to watch.
So can we go back to the main point?
Well, the main point is, now that you know...
No, the main point
now
was...
that you know that ER, now that you know that ER has done this...
No.
That's the main point.
Now, after what felt like about 6 hours of talking past each other, they finally got onto a topic that I found personally interesting. And that was this idea that Cenk's nephew presented, and Sinatra Says had previously made a video response to that has since been taken down.
No, I was actually talking about the coverage of black people versus the coverage of white people, which in that video, I don't know if you watched the full video, I show exact examples of Associated Press calling white people looting different convenience stores during a hurricane surviving, versus black people from that same, literally from that same publication, black people looting.
Essentially, Cenk's nephew's argument is that during a storm, when white people go into a store and take stuff, that's them finding food. But when black people do the same exact thing, that's called looting due to the racism throughout our society. And they were specifically referencing a video that Cenk's nephew made about this.
I think in the example you used, it was white people looting a convenience store, but black people looting a shoe store.
No, that wasn't the example I used. They were both... The video literally shows black people getting out of a convenience store, grabbing essential items, including toilet paper and water.
Was that the end of your sentence?
Yes.
Okay, I can't tell the way you talk. If that's the case, then I completely agree with you.
However, Sinatra Says didn't seem too familiar with the video in question, so he kind of just gave in to Cenk's nephew's points. But here's the thing, I am familiar with the video in question. I know exactly where Cenk's nephew was lying in the video in question, and we're going to go over that right now.
Hurricane Florence has hit the Carolinas, and the current death toll sits at 17 in North Carolina and 6 in South Carolina. And while low-income areas are experiencing the worst impact, this one brave local news reporter put on her fancy rain boots.
So the video starts out at a Family Dollar in North Carolina after a major hurricane. And the entire premise of this video that Cenk's nephew is trying to present is that this evil, racist, white reporter is shaming black people for trying to survive. Now, ignore the fact that you can clearly see people walk out of the store in the beginning of the clip that Cenk's nephew is showing with clothes that, you can't eat. So the argument that they're just finding food doesn't fly right away. But let's go into the video a little bit further.
With items left and right, looting the Family Dollar here on Greenfield Street.
What is this wine mom doing? Let him survive, lady. Imagine going to an affected area and watching people trying to find food supplies, since who knows how long it'll take for basic services to be restored, and thinking, gotcha, you criminals, how dare you try to survive?
Now you can tell from the tone and tenor of Cenk's nephew's video that he's trying to be dismissive of people concerned about crime during recovery efforts, while also shaming this woman and white people overall for attacking black people who are just innocent victims. Because according to Cenk's nephew, looting is not stealing basic necessities like food, water. So I'm perfectly fine putting that in the not looting category and something that the police don't need to address. However, when you go out and you're stealing products like TVs, clothes, sneakers, all the stuff that you definitely don't need to survive, but you're stealing to sell later, I think that those people are looters, and those are the people that we should be calling out and shaming, because they take a bad situation and they make it worse and more dangerous. And not only that, them robbing the stores causes the police to go after them, which diverts crucial resources from the actual victims of the storm. And which of these two events was going on at the Family Dollar in question should determine whether or not we're talking about looting that should be reported on and people should be arrested for, or if we're talking about people that are just trying to survive.
But I just can't get over this lady trying to pull off a citizen's arrest, just bursting at the seams with excitement that she found the people looting in Wilmington, which received a record amount of rainfall.
Now, as I said earlier in the video, one of the first clips that Cenk's nephew showed in his video actually has two women walking off camera with clothes in their hands. Now you might say, Sean, those appear to be clothes, but I really can't tell that from here. I don't know if that really counts. For all you know, those could just be supplies that they need to survive, and they only look like clothes because the video quality is not that good. Now you might be thinking that I'm cruel, and Cenk's nephew is actually a good guy because he's giving the people who are suffering from the hurricane, the victims of the hurricane, the benefit of the doubt. And me saying that that looks like clothes, that's just my inherent bias. And Cenk's nephew would never, in the history of ever, lie directly to your face about what was going on at that Family Dollar when there was clear and unambiguous proof that people were looting that Family Dollar.
They do not care.
Oh, that's really strange. This video at that same Family Dollar in Wilmington, North Carolina, clearly shows a man running out of that Family Dollar with like 40 t-shirts in his hand. Now, if we go based on the definition we previously established on what is trying to survive and what is looting, would 40 t-shirts fall under the category of trying to survive or looting and taking advantage of a situation? Now maybe those t-shirts are edible, or the man in question actually has evolved differently than any other man on planet Earth, and he can actually live and get sustenance off the fabric. Now that might sound completely ridiculous to you, but if the fabric is not edible, or the man cannot gain sustenance off the fabric, then that means that Cenk's nephew lied directly to your face despite clear and incontrovertible proof that people at that location were looting, and the entire premise of his video is complete and utter nonsense. Now the video just gets worse and worse as Cenk's nephew tries to gin up racial tensions by comparing this reporter doing her job to Barbecue Becky.
Can you think of anything that says, I don't regard you as a human being more than snitching on hurricane victims who have no idea when services in the area will be restored, who most likely don't have enough money to stock up on basic necessities like food, water, and toilet paper? How do you have a Barbecue Becky moment in a friggin' hurricane?
Now I've already done a video debunking the idea that there's this unique epidemic of white people calling the police on black people, so I'm not going to address that here. But that will be linked in the iCard and in the description box down below if you want to check that out. Now later on in this video, Cenk's nephew tries again to support his claims of racism against black people by pointing out that the Family Dollar in question actually asked the police not to arrest people and said that they wouldn't press charges against anybody taking stuff from the store. And he makes the claim that the police deciding to arrest some people anyway was due to racism.
Of course, the brave boys in blue responded swiftly to deliver justice, even though the owners of the Family Dollar asked them not to intervene, which the Wilmington Police Department was noticeably upset about. Like, they literally tweeted out, "Unfortunately." Unfortunately what? And then they still decided to arrest some of the looters and charge them to the fullest extent of the law, despite the owner telling them over and over again not to. Thank God for cops. How else would we survive a storm without them?
Now, this is a ridiculous logical leap on behalf of Cenk's nephew, and it's also complete and total nonsense if you don't explain why the police decided to arrest some people anyway.
Several blocks away, we heard about a looting at a Family Dollar. Let me show you the video of what we experienced. As we pulled up, Chad got out of our van with a small handheld SLR camera. As the rain continued to fall, Chad got out, took these pictures that you are seeing. One woman came up to him and said, "You better get out of here. They're going to kill you." Another man approached him and said, "I'm going to kill you. Don't take my effing picture." And the torrential rains came down. Chad was able to get back into the van just as we heard a gunshot over our shoulder. We got out of that area.
Thank God for cops. How else would we survive a storm without them?
Chad was able to get back into the van just as we heard a gunshot over our shoulder.
You see, when you have clear-cut evidence of people looting, and I'm talking about looting, not people trying to survive, people trying to take advantage of the bad situation, like the 40 t-shirts guy. Despite what the store owner says about them not wanting the police to make any arrests, the police are obligated to arrest that guy. Because unlike the people who just took food, water, toilet paper, or diapers, this guy is likely to break into another store to steal more consumer goods. So if you have evidence against him, it doesn't make any sense to let him stay on the streets when you can take him in and prevent future crime. So the charge that the police deciding to make a few specific arrests were doing so out of racial animosity is completely ridiculous.
But while some beef up the danger element of storms for ratings, Fox News and local news affiliates like this one take advantage of the devastation to peddle routine racial agitation.
Mass devastation in Houston has brought with it a breakdown in law and order.
This natural disaster has wreaked havoc in the region. But you know what's even more dangerous than exploding transformers? Black people trying to stay alive.
Now, when I saw this part of the video, I thought to myself, geez, that's a really short Tucker Carlson clip to put in the middle of your video without any additional context.
Mass devastation in Houston has brought with it a breakdown in law and order.
And in fact, I watched all the way to the end of the video waiting for Cenk's nephew to show how Tucker Carlson was being a bad person or being a racist person against black people just trying to survive. And to my surprise, there was no other reference to that Tucker Carlson clip in this video. So it was at that point that I realized that the reason that Tucker Carlson is in this video is because Cenk's nephew's audience thinks Tucker Carlson is a racist, and Cenk's nephew knows that he could just put any random clip of Tucker Carlson in the video and that will have that effect on the audience. And that's when I decided that I needed to find this clip. And you will be shocked, and I mean completely shocked to learn that the Tucker Carlson clip in question was longer than the few seconds that Cenk's nephew decided to show his audience.
Mass devastation in Houston has brought with it a breakdown in law and order, not as bad as in some natural disasters, but pretty bad. There have been numerous reports of looting by storm survivors.
You may also be shocked to learn that in the segment in question, Tucker Carlson wasn't ragging on people stealing food, water, toilet paper, or diapers for their babies. He actually had clips of people stealing out of cash registers and breaking into department stores.
But you think about the people who were hurt by this. There were interviews today, for example, with the owner of the Bronze Bar in Houston, and it was being looted. Said, "My business that I've worked for was looted last night. I can't believe people are capable of that." Samir Abraham, who has got a store there too, watched it being looted on surveillance cameras. These people are taking advantage of the weather and have been robbing us blind since last night.
Now look, I'm willing to admit, and I'm pretty sure the laws in many parts of this country reflect the fact that during emergency situations, sometimes people need to get into stores in order to get the supplies that they need. But this idea that we make a racial distinction between who's looting and who isn't is complete and total nonsense. And if Cenk's nephew had proof that the narrative he's trying to push is true, he wouldn't need to cut clips up deceptively in order to prove it. He would just show you how it's true with the full clips in their full context. Now, the end of the conversation that Cenk's nephew and Sinatra Says had about this issue revolved around the idea that Cenk's nephew called this guy at the end of the video racist for saying he was trying to defend his neighborhood.
During a hurricane, your main concern should be protecting yourself from the hurricane and its after effects. But this kind of damaging black people loot versus white people survive rhetoric leads to maniacs like this guy.
You come down the street looking for problems, you're gonna get shot.
Now, as you can see in the clip from Cenk's nephew's video, the man in question didn't say anything racist. All he said is that he would protect his home and his neighbors' homes from people coming into the neighborhood looking for trouble. And to Sinatra Says' credit, he did not concede this point to Cenk's nephew. But then Cenk's nephew brought up this rationale for why this guy is in fact an evil racist.
He said, if you come down the street looking for problems, you're gonna get shot. That, on its own, is a kind of weird thing to say. But within the context of like black people are looting houses or whatever, which you originally started off your point by saying, that'd be kind of weird, right? Like, you literally started off by saying like,
did he mention blacks?
Does he have to mention black people? I'm saying that it's paired up with both of the narratives. Like, I'm so confused here, dude.
That clip is absolutely beautiful, and it is a perfect illustration of the leftist bubble in action. According to Cenk's nephew, he doesn't have to say anything racist for it to be racist, but in the context of what Cenk's nephew was talking about in his video, that makes that unconnected clip racist. Even if Cenk's nephew wasn't relying on clips taken out of context to prove his narrative that white people survive according to the media, while black people loot according to the media, that clip would still be not connected. But in Cenk's nephew's mind, because he hacked those clips up out of context and cut them in a certain way and then ended with this guy saying what he said, that somehow is context added that proves that the guy in the end is racist. What can you say to somebody who thinks that's logical? And I'm being 100% serious. What can you say to a person who legitimately believes and is making the argument that because they put some unconnected things in a certain order, then that means the last thing in the unconnected order that they made is influenced by the other things that, once again, they put in that order and have no connection to it. This guy wasn't shown 95% of Cenk's nephew's video and then decided to make those comments with a wink and a nod that he was saying something racial. I'm pretty sure a reporter just showed up and asked him how he's going to defend his neighborhood, or if he's going to defend his neighborhood from potential looters. And that's what he said. So I'm pretty much at a loss for words now. I have nothing else to say about this video because what else can I possibly say? Literally, tell me in the comments down below what you think I can possibly add to somebody who thinks like that. Also, if you watched the full debate in full context, let me know what you thought about it. If you like this video, then show me by leaving a like. You can subscribe for more content. Follow me on all my social medias. You can support me via one-time donation on PayPal or through Patreon or Subscribestar. This has been me going over a debate and being completely baffled by the lack of logic in it. Till next time.